Now they don't even plagiarize. They're too lazy to plagiarize. Yeah. I saw this term, they AI-gerize.
AI-gerize?
Or they I-gerize, which is a genuine term that I've seen in, I brought this in this paper.
Oh.
Save our Sundays, no more Monday blues. Save our Sundays.
Welcome to Save Our Sundays, the podcast where we build my teacher rate in public and try to give teachers their weekends back. I'm Josh.
Sir. And I am... No, wait. Although, wait. I'm not Jacob. I almost said it as well. And I'm Jacob.
I wanted to see if you'd say it.
Yes.
I'm actually Jacob.
And I'm Josh.
And I'm back.
Yeah.
I wasn't here last episode. We have not saved the Sundays just yet. The end of term time got to me.
Pretty busy.
Yeah.
And you did get sick as well.
I got very sick and I pushed through and I got more sick.
And then you
and then I crashed.
Yeah. I had to call it quits.
But we were recovering. Welcome this week to a new series. Over the next few episodes, we want to work our way through the Australian framework for generative AI in schools.
How old is this framework?
This is relatively new.
Yeah, okay.
So this came out around the time that ChatGPT came out, I believe.
Well, that's pretty quick then.
Yeah,
that they were on the ball with that, because I know a lot of industries are scrambling. Like, ChatGPT, Anthropic, they're all doing their thing and everyone else is like, what do we do? What do we do?
Yeah, well, everybody is. And so 2003 when it came out, it was reviewed in 2004. Fun fact, they said in the thing, we're going to do an annual review.
They never did.
We're still waiting for the 2025 review. But
wait, did you say they came out in 2003?
2003.
Not 2023.
2023. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, what? 2003?
I'm still recovering. I'm still recovering.
I've been around since 2003.
I'm still recovering from illness.
That's all. I was like,
if producer Gabby's saying like, what? So we're going to be looking at this framework. There's a very young framework, as all of this industry is now.
Yeah.
And we're going to be looking at what it means for teachers and classrooms, not just in theory, but actually trying to get some practice into it as well. And we're unpacking this, and this is going to be an ongoing conversation, a developing one, because part of what we're here for is to help guide teachers through this developing landscape, and we're trying to figure it out at the same time that everybody else is.
It's a very dynamic space, isn't it? It's not static. It's not set in stone.
Yeah.
It's changing constantly.
And I think we'll see that in the shape of the framework. And it's very ideas based.
Yes.
Good ideas, but ideas.
Yeah.
Like at a first glance, right? AI should support teaching and learning. Great. We can all agree to that. What does that mean?
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
But before we get kicked off into that, how was your Sunday? Well, how was your week?
My week has been pretty good, actually. I had some really good conversations with my mentor at work.
Yeah.
He's a new mentor. And we've been really talking about the idea of how do you add value in the workplace? And he really challenged me on my thinking with work in general. And funny enough, it's very biblical as well, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because or at least me, I used to go to work thinking, I'm here for a short period of time while we build everything on the outside that becomes our own. And I think it stems from hustle culture to a certain extent, where you think about life like, okay, I don't want to build someone else's dream. I want to build my own dream.
Yeah. Well, it's that very individualistic.
Yeah. And then I realized it's just selfish way of thinking about it. But rather, he challenged me to think about it more in the sense of when you are at a workplace or an organization, how do you provide the most value to the organization, which in turn ends up making your time at the organization a purposeful one?
Yeah.
And that really challenged me, and I thought that was really good. But overall, my week has been great. But that was my highlight, I think, having those conversations and being challenged a bit.
Those are, it's such a big value. We've talked about before, everybody needs a Paul, a Barnabas, and Timothy, right?
Yeah.
And it's those conversations that are just so formative.
Yeah.
They really get you far in life.
But yeah, that was my week. How was yours?
Man, Screw you, first of all, because I had a much more shallow response to how your week was than how yours was. Sounds like you had an awesome week.
Yeah, it was good.
I have 2 points. Both relate to you and producer Gabby. Both being recommendations that you've both given me and my wife.
Yes.
One being a great recommendation and one kind of falling flat, I'm afraid.
I want to know.
So this is
the
the highlight of my week.
I think I know which one is a great
And
recommendation.
it's absolutely nothing about personal growth. So I've listened to the Drake album.
You did? What was your least favorite song? What's a song that you'll rate 0 out of 10?
I will go
because
by.
I know it's not going beyond.
I'll go
2.
I'll go by track number.
Okay. You actually listened to the whole album. That's amazing.
So my least favorites were tracks 1 to 18. I'm sorry, Drake.
That's
You're not
fair.
a good artist.
That's fair.
You're not a
That's
good
fair.
musical artist.
It's very subjective, right?
It's
Musical
very
taste
subjective.
Is so subjective.
I'm not a fan. I'm sorry.
Since that album, I have started loving Drake even more. So yeah,
I could.
we are very different people.
Do you know what? It took a while to get
Yeah.
through because I started listening to it on my runs.
Yeah.
I would have to stop it and put my headphones away halfway through the run. I was like, I can't do it.
That's fair. That's fair. So that's what you hated the most. Okay, now what did you enjoy? Let's not dwell on the hate.
So, weeks ago, you and producer Gabby recommended to my wife and I this TV show
Yep.
called Traders.
Yes. Celebrity Traders.
Celebrity Traders. So we watched Celebrity Traders and it was awesome.
I know.
It's so good.
And you being a lawyer, I knew you would love that.
Yeah,
Because of the strategy these guys have to use.
Well, here's the thing. I'll tell you why I especially love it, and it's not for the reason you might think.
Okay.
But as you can probably imagine, there's some research behind it that I've done.
Yeah. Of course.
First of all, Claudia Winkleman,
Yeah.
as producer Gabby says, iconic.
Yeah.
Like, just so iconic.
And for those of you who don't know, she's the host of the show.
She's just an amazing human being and the funniest person. But off the back of Celebrity Traders, my wife and I watched season 1 of the Traders UK,
Yeah.
which she also hosts. And you guys have to see season 1 because starting from episode 3 of season 1, you have to watch episodes 1 and 2, obviously, to like get the build up.
Yeah.
But starting from episode 3 begins the best 2 hours of TV that I've ever seen in my life.
Really? Okay.
So good.
Note that, producer Gabby, we're starting tonight.
It was so good.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to give anything away, but Claudia kind of forces the traders to make a strategic move that unfolds in such an amazing, tense, dramatic way. And there was no way they could have predicted it happening.
Oh,
in fact,
can't wait.
it was so brilliant. I wonder if the producers had some influence over their decision because you couldn't have planned it
Really? Okay.
better. It was so good.
I can't wait to watch that.
Best moment of reality TV for sure. But yeah, that was the highlight of my week. And I feel ashamed because my daughter turned 2 this week. I should have highlighted that. I'm realizing. Baby girl, I'm so sorry if you see this when you're older. So we're looking at the Australian framework for generative artificial intelligence in schools.
What is the acronym?
No.
Sorry.
You're not sucking me into that. Nice try.
Yeah, I thought I could get you. I think the government organizations really need to work on their acronyms. I genuinely think it's a thing.
I think part of the tendering process is that you should get a marketing firm to do one thing.
Yeah.
Acronym.
Yes.
Come up with a good acronym for something. Anyways, so there is this framework. There are 6 goals, and each goal has, they do say principles.
Okay.
Goals, principles. Fine. They're principles. So there's 6 principles, and then each principle comes with a set of guiding statements.
Okay.
We're going to go through each principle. We're focusing on one today. We're looking at the principle of teaching and learning, which is that generative AI tools are used to support and enhance teaching and learning. What a great idea.
It is a great idea.
Great idea. Would you like to know
how practical is it?
Well, we have 6 guiding statements. So first of all, I know what you're thinking. As a teacher, I'm sitting here trying to get my planning done. Reports are due. How many principles did you say? 6 principles. How many guiding statements? 25 in total. 25 in total. It's a lot. And it's things like impact. AI should be used in a way that enhances and supports teaching, school administration, and learning and student learning.
Already it sounds extremely high level.
It's very. I'm not even going to read the rest of them.
Okay, cool.
It's very lofty.
Yes.
I want to just drag it down to be a bit more practical. And in order to get there, we're going to take the lofty principles, make them a bit less lofty, still principles, and then we'll talk about like what
The
does that actually look
practicality
like.
of it, yeah.
Let's break down these kind of 6 guiding statements into just 3 points. So for teaching and learning, the basic idea is that AI should be used to enhance teaching and learning. Students need to be taught how AI works and how to use it like well and rightly. And I use the words well and rightly. They say ethically. I don't like the use of that word because...
What is ethically?
Yeah, well, people throw the word ethically around and it just means nothing anymore. But I think saying use it well, meaning that when you use it, you are using it to produce something good. You're
getting the right
slop.
outcomes from using it. Yes.
So I would say, 2 points. No slop. And then the third, use it rightly. So use it in the right way and use it well. Don't use it to be a bad actor. So rightly is in like morally rightly. Like what is the right thing to do in this situation? Don't use it to cheat. Don't use it to break into some government vault of secrets just because you can. Use it in a way that's going to help yourself and others in a good way, and then use it to produce actual good outcomes.
Yeah.
And so students need to be taught that. As students need to be taught everything because there are these slates that we have to try and develop and build up knowledge and just in goodness. Then third, so AI needs to be used to enhance teaching and learning. Students need to be taught what AI is, how it works, and how to use it well and rightly. And then assessment now needs to be designed in a way that allows teachers to actually assess what it is that the student actually understands. What is the actual student achievement? And that, I think, is the hardest point at the moment.
And why is that the hardest point?
It's because this wave has come, AI has saturated everything, and we had no preparation for it. And everybody's now reacting. And
it's a very reactive approach to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a term that I learned that I absolutely love, and it comes from the gaming world.
Okay.
And which is kind of ironic because
Are you a gamer?
No, no.
Okay.
I used to love video games. I just don't have time for it anymore, right? And when I'm old and retired, I'm gonna play a lot of Minecraft. Look, I say that I'm not gonna have time.
Yeah.
I still probably won't have time. But in COVID, at the height of the COVID depression, I was playing this video game that was like League of Legends, but with Pokemon. It was really fun.
Okay.
I had to delete it. It was too addictive.
Yeah.
But there was
What was
this
the other
term-
game that was really popular during COVID?
I have no idea.
The one with the bubbles you matched?
I don't know and I don't care. I'm just bringing it up to introduce a word.
Go for it.
Candy Crush?
Candy Crush. That's it. Candy Crush. Yes.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Ganked.
Ganked.
Gank. It's where you... G-A-N-K.
Okay, gank.
So to gank is like an easy goal.
Okay.
Where you just run up and just slam a goal before anybody can defend it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so this term's just stuck with me.
With
it's such
AI.
Right? Because essentially all of
Showed
our
up.
assessments are getting AI ganked. I really hope now that it's not actually a dirty word because it sounds like it could be. Assessments are just getting ganked by AI, effectively. And I love this word because it's just... It's very memorable, and it just captures exactly what's happening, is we have all these assessments that have been designed, sometimes not even good assessments, but like schools just go with it because they're like fun-ish and you get some sort of learning out of it. And sure, it's great. And I think part of it is like students have computers and laptops in school now, and I think everybody should know how much I hate that at this point.
Yeah.
But you set an assignment, and then as long as you can get them to not play games, they'll get that assignment done. And it's usually their work as long as they haven't copy and pasted stuff in.
Yeah.
And then along comes AI, and now they've done none of the assignment. They don't even go
They
through
haven't
the
even
bother
thought
of...
through anything.
Yeah.
They just copy the question.
Yeah.
And
Now they
ask
don't
AI to
even
do it.
plagiarize. They're too lazy to plagiarize.
Yeah.
They just have... I saw this term. They AI-garize.
AI draw.
Or they I-garize, which is a genuine term that I've seen in... Oh, I brought this in this paper.
Oh.
Assessment twins.
Are we going to go through that paper today?
I'm going to mention it. Yeah. It happened to be in my backpack.
Yeah.
We had these assessments, and because some jerk decided it was going to be a good idea to have laptops in the classroom years ago. Now our classroom is just getting ganked by AI.
Do you think there's going to be a world where we go backwards to not having laptops in the classroom?
Lord, let it
I'm
be
hoping,
so.
yeah. But
I hope so.
Do you think
But
it's a possibility?
yeah, of course. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
We did it, right? So students are AI-gerizing. So the principle is assessments have to be designed in a way that allows the teacher to assess what's actually happening. And we have all these assessments that used to be okay, and now they're completely useless. And I think every school is dealing with this right now. And it's happening because all of this just came out of nowhere. It's just happened to us and we weren't prepared for it. And now we have to react. And I think not enough, I mean, maybe from school to school, I reckon it depends as to how reactive people are being and how thoughtful people are being in that reaction. And I think the immediate kind of safety move largely has been going back to in-class exams or in-class essays, which I love, but you understandably can't just do that for every single assessment. There are certain creative assessments that now to do that would either be inequitable or would just not quite work. I think in like 5 years' time, my dream is that everything is back to pen and paper. You do your drafts, maybe schools, resurrect the computer lab. And then you have 2 like periods to type up a good copy and edit.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we have to design assessments in a way that allows us to actually figure out what it is the student's doing. And in a world where the computer is an essential part of the student's workflow, what do you do while you're making that transition to full pen and paper? To some things, you can just do a full transition. I've done that with quite a few assessments in my classrooms. I'll give an example. We study The Giver in grade 9 English. And previously we had what was effectively an e-booklet that students would download on Google Docs. And they would work through this analytical booklet as they read The Giver. And it was a bit of a nightmare to mark, but it worked. You cannot do that now.
Why is that?
Because it's an e-document full of questions.
So they just
it's dead.
Sit on their
like
computer.
It's dead now. Because how can I possibly police that? There is no way.
Yeah.
They take it home, they plug it into ChatGPT, they come back, they've not read the book, they've given me a bunch of answers that now I have to read that nobody's actually written.
Yeah, it's useless.
It's useless. So what I did was I took an idea that a colleague of mine came up with for grade 10 English, and I just adapted that into grade 9, which I think is a brilliant idea. It's an in-class assessment that's done over a period of weeks. And she called it chapter chunks, where you take a chunk of chapters, they have to read it by the end of the week, and then what they do is they sit down in class for a period or 2 periods, depending on like what the grade level is, and they are given essentially a work booklet with a couple sections.
And they have to fill it out.
And they have to complete that booklet
in the class
with just their brains, a pen, and the copy of the book available to them. And what it is it's a set of comprehension questions that makes them identify, say, what is the most important part of the book that you read in this chunk of chapters? What is it that, so we use some Harvard Project Zero thinking routines, and we effectively put them on paper.
Yeah.
And they think through those. Then they have some analytical assessments like a perceive, feel, comprehend. I can't remember which one it is. But then the third part is in a creative writing piece, where they are, because part of the unit we do is replicating the writing style of the author. And so we look at one of the ways, an element of the author's writing style, and they have to try and replicate that in a creative writing piece just there, right?
So they don't have any time to use a computer?
No, there's no access to a computer. There is no preparing what it's going to be ahead of time.
It's brilliant. I think
it's really good. And you know what? I just finished marking them all, and they're really good. They actually did really well. And what it does, it feeds into the next assessment, which is also a gankable assessment, which I've had to do a different workaround. And the results from that assessment, as I've been reading their drafts, already
you see improvement.
Yeah, already better than the previous year, because they've actually sat down and had to work through it week to week with a pen and paper with their minds.
Yeah, so they're thinking critically.
They're thinking critically about the book, and they have to read the book, and they're demonstrating an understanding of the book, and they're doing this creative writing. It's awesome.
There has to be a paper out there. I mean, I'm sure there is that explains all of this. Like we've seen, you're seeing it.
Well, it's
firsthand.
I think, yeah, there are studies that just show that writing with pen and paper is just more connected to your critical thinking, the critical thinking part of your brain than typing. It just is. Like typing is more kind of the motor
sensory part of the brain.
Yeah, the motor cortex, I don't know what it's called.
Yep.
The part of your brain that controls fine motor skills
Yep.
is typing, and you're thinking about what you're writing. But when you're actually writing, you're writing so slowly that you're actually thinking through and reflecting at the same time. So there's a lot of this going on, a lot of that prefrontal cortex stuff that is where all that genuine thinking takes place. The critical thought, the reflective thought, the generative thought. You're retrieving information that you've stored away. You're regenerating ideas and working with them because it's so slow. Like C.S. Lewis cottoned onto this quite early. He would always write with very wet and slow drying ink because it really forced him to think about what he was writing.
Yeah.
And C.S. Lewis, one of the most coherent writers and communicators of, I think his era. And so there's just something better about handwriting.
Yeah. Bring back handwriting.
I think so. Bring it back. So the principle is that assessment has to be designed in a way that allows the teacher to assess that the student has actually achieved something. And it is possible. And there was...
Possible using what you've done in your classroom, kinda? Yeah,
well, the thing that you want to look out for, and this is where this comes in, there's a whole bunch of research coming out. I'm not going to go into it. It's a very long research paper. But
give us the TLDR.
Yeah, the TLDR is there are many more papers than that around this area, and I'm still reading through the corpus a bit. But the general framework is, the first thing is, can this assessment be done by AI? You look at your assessment and you go, is there a chance for a student to put this into AI and for AI to generate an answer that is plausible? And if the answer is yes, the question is then how? Because then that informs where in the process the student is going to be going to AI. And then you have to ask yourself, what is it that this assessment is trying to achieve? And what learning is the student being cheated of?
Yeah.
And part of this as well, and this should probably be the easy part of coming up with a solution, because to design the assessment, you have to think, what is it that the student's actually learning? What am I actually measuring?
What is the outcome you're hoping the student gets out of this?
The basic idea behind backwards design, which is part of the the understanding by design framework, is that you start with the end in mind. Is you always think, what is it that I'm assessing? What is it that my student needs to take away from this learning sequence? And so you should already have that in your head, is what is it that the student's actually learning? So what part of the learning, if the AI is able to do it, what part of the learning is the student missing out on? And then you go, all right, how can I build a check and balance into this assessment to ensure that the student has done that? And that's where there is kind of a branching out of different possibilities, because it depends on the assessment largely. And so many things can be solved by just going straight to pen and paper for everything, just naturally. Because if you're thinking about writing an essay, can an essay be AI ganked? Absolutely.
Yeah.
How can an essay be AI ganked? Well, you give them the notice that they have to write an essay. They take the essay question, they plug it into ChatGPT. ChatGPT writes an essay. They put it through a humanizer. They put it onto a Google Doc. They submit it.
Done.
Right? Now, what learning has the student been robbed of? Everything. But what learning specifically? Why am I having them write the essay? I'm having them
communicate better.
Yes, to communicate. If I'm writing an essay on a novel, what is it that they're gaining from that essay in relation to actually writing an essay about the novel? Communication's a key one that they can write, but also how they work with ideas. Have they read and comprehended and understood the book, the novel, the play? And then have they understood what the book, the novel, the play is trying to communicate to them? Like, have they actually wrestled with the ideas? How can you build in a check and balance to that? Well, remove all the technology, and with an essay,
sit down in class, pen and paper.
There it is.
Done.
Yeah. Now, for other things, So there's another assessment I do, which is they write a short story or they write an adaptation of a scene in a movie into a scene of a book.
Okay.
And for that, they have to have their computers there so they can watch the scene. And then for this, historically, they've had their computers then type up the chapter. And I think eventually the answer is either to just replace that unit with something a bit more rigorous, or to find a way to make it all on pen and paper. But in the meantime, something that I've done is, all right, you can do your editing, you can write it up there on your computer, but after it's handed in, what I did was I created a reflection task where they sat down with nothing but a pen and the reflection task, and they answered a series of questions that made them justify choices that they made in their work. What is it that adaptation is trying to get them to do? They need to be able to understand the scene that they've watched and what it's trying to communicate. They need to show that they understand the book and what the book was trying to communicate and how that scene should fit into the world of the book. So what are the differences between the two worlds, and what choices did you make to fit?
Because there's a lot excluded.
Like there are different characters, there's different storylines. You need to show that you've thought about the themes of both of them. All of that can be done through a reflective exercise. Where you say,
do most teachers go through this thought process when they're creating a lesson? Because I listened to you talk about the thought process that you go through, and it seems quite complicated and complex.
I think it sounds complicated when you're trying to explain it, but to me, it feels quite intuitive. I hope teachers think about these things, because I think the most basic thing is, what do I want my students to learn? How do they demonstrate that? And so the thought process goes, I want my students to do this adaptation. A good adaptation thinks about these things. How do I show that they did that? All right, well, they have to justify that. How do I make sure they can't use AI? Close book. Reflective exercise. So practically, the things you can do generally involve, can I just take away the computer completely? Can I introduce a reflective exercise at the end after they've submitted the work? Or there's also, in this research article, which is aimed at higher education, which shows that at universities, they're getting the worst of it at the moment. But there's things like, how can I pair the assessment with other assessments to show a genuine or authentic learning has taken place? So maybe for an essay, you might introduce an oral element or a speech or defense that has to take place. Maybe there's a creative assessment that has to be done, that has to be like a actual physical piece. Other things that you can do are incorporate some level of comprehension assessment as you go through something leading up to a final essay. Looking back at that framework, identify, can the assessment be ganked by AI? Identify how it can be ganked. Figure out what is that thing, that learning that you're trying to actually assess from the student. And then just plan out, how do I account for that? How do I
ungank it?
Ungank it. Where do I take out the AI interference? Now, I've focused a lot on English because I'm an English teacher. I do wonder how much of an issue this is in maths, because I know that there is a lot of just in-class assessment done in maths anyway. I do wonder for science how much there would be of this. I think potentially HAS is another area. So humanities and social studies is another area that probably deals with a lot of AI gankage. And HAS, I reckon, would be tricky, because in HAS you have a lot of research-based assessment. So how would you deal with a research-based assessment?
It's a tough one, right? With research, the student has to, in theory, do research. But now with AI, you can do deep research.
And that's not always a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
Like in a real-world application, that can actually be really useful.
But it also is a shortcut for students that prevents them from doing that hard work, which enables them to think
about source quality, thinking about main points and ideas.
And again, as we mentioned in previous episodes, AI could generate an intelligible result, but did it use the right sources?
Has it hallucinated?
So those are the questions that teachers need to consider when they're looking at a research paper.
So if we're looking at a research report, How can it get ganked by AI? Absolutely. How? Well, students have AI do the research for them. So what is it? And we've talked about what students are missing out on. Students are missing out on the opportunity to develop their reading comprehension, to develop the critical thinking of sources, to read deeply of a source and then synthesize and hypothesize around an idea and a topic. I have an idea about how to do that. And I've talked about this with a few of my colleagues as to how you might get around that. What would you suggest? How would you work around that? How do we get rid of that gankability? I think there are two clear paths.
Straight away, I think about what you did with one of your students, or you generally do with your students when you know that they've used AI. You just ask them the question on how they actually came up with this, right? Because it's clear that they've used it for you.
Yeah.
But then just by asking them questions and the way they answer, you kind of get them to do,
Do you want to know a secret? This comes right back to traders.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you know how there's always a character, or I say character, these are real people. There's always a player who says, I'm really good at reading people.
That's true.
And they're always terrible at reading people.
Yeah.
Humans are terrible lie detectors.
Yeah.
But I
think Gabby's really good though.
Get this, there's studies done on professionals who have to deal with liars all the time, like judges,
and they're bad.
Police officers, etc. Guess what the accuracy percentage is in these studies?
Is it really low?
50-50. You might as well flip a coin, because even the lie detector, what is a lie detector actually detecting?
It's detecting if you've lied. If your heart rate's going up. Yeah.
It's detecting inconsistency in behavior. And that's what people look for, is inconsistency in behavior. So lie detecting is not detecting lies, it's detecting inconsistencies in behavior. But the problem of looking at a symptom and reaching a conclusion is that the symptom could have multiple causes.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, you don't know. You're guessing. Anytime that you think somebody's lying to you, it's a complete guess. It's 50-50. And that's what makes traders so funny, when you have those characters being like, I'm really good at detecting lies. Like, yeah, you can detect it in people that you know or that you see regularly, because you're good at spotting those inconsistencies. But
that's why your spouse can be really good at detecting.
Yeah. It's also why Alan was such a good trader, because he was the same person from beginning to end.
Yeah.
There was no inconsistency in his character from episode 1 to the final episode.
Yeah.
And that's why nobody spotted him. What I'm trying to say is, the only way to know if somebody's lying is to know the truth going in.
Yeah.
And that's how I deal with spotting AI. I know that they've used AI. The trick behind the questions is that you don't force a confession out. You use the Socratic method, and you know going in, and they will just crumple if they've done it. And that's, you just go, all right, well, show me this, show me this, show me this. This is what I see. What do you think? And then also the idea, and you see this in traders as well, is that if somebody is guilty, unless they're a sociopath, they want to confess. They actually hate the fact that they've lied.
Yeah.
And you can see that in students as well, because people don't actually like lying unless they're
crazy.
Yeah, unless they're actually crazy. So yeah, you can ask questions you can ask targeted questions if you suspect there's been some interference.
And the thought process they've used, questions around what their thought process is.
So you could have like a reflective exercise. What do you think of this? Path number 1, make them find a physical book.
And do the research only in that book.
If you have a well-stocked library. That's difficult to do. Path number 2, give them a source packet. So the teacher curates a packet of sources.
And that's the research.
Yeah. Every student just gets a stack of papers, and that is all the sources that they get to use. And they have to decide which ones are worthwhile, what content is worthwhile.
Imagine a student is so lazy to actually do the reading that they just scan through all the papers, put it through AI, and say, this is your context window.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, that's crazy. He or she will go somewhere.
Yeah. There might be somebody who would actually do. Exactly. If you're willing to put that much effort into cheating. So like, the point is what does that achieve? It gets it away from the computer, and you can then go to pen and paper with your research, and they can mark up that booklet. And you can even have them hand in that booklet and show that they've actually read it and used it.
Yeah. The consistent pattern that I'm sensing here is that pen and paper is the key.
Yeah, and I think that's the frustrating thing, is how simplistic this is for all the lofty kind of ideals of you need to design. When you say like assessment should be designed in a way that allows the teacher to actually assess what the student knows, it's very easy to do that. And we did that for a long time, and it just involved not giving them access to the internet.
Yep. Literally. That's all it is.
Often all those solutions, at least that I've seen, and I guess this is your heuristic going into this. Gabby, I think this is the 30-second opening clip. The heuristic at the end of all of this is that if you eliminate the access to the AI, you get to see what the student knows.
Yeah.
So when you're designing an assessment, if there is an assessment that requires access to a computer, you should then design some secondary element to it. If you can't design the whole assessment around it, some element needs to then be pen and paper, no access to the computer, where the student then has to demonstrate their knowledge, even in short form.
Yep.
And I think that's the secret. That is the
secret sauce.
The secret sauce.
Yep.
At the end of the day, the only way that you know is if the student presents their knowledge without any assistance.
So we have a comment. It says, not every year of teaching is a copy-paste scenario. Each year, the department puts in new initiatives and more expectations. Teachers don't just have spare time on the weekends and think, you know what? I'm going to go do work for free. They do it because they have to. Yeah. Just do it, just pay.
Okay. This is too real. This is too real. So department schools are crazy. Also, to some extent, I would imagine this happens in private schools. This happens at any changeover. And I think any industry, you can relate to this, where you have a new, say, CEO that comes in or a new manager that comes in, and they come in and they pull out of their toolbox that this policy is going to solve all of our problems.
Yeah.
And it's just the management changeover where a manager comes in and goes, I have an idea on how to fix things, before they've looked around and seen if anything needs fixing.
Yeah.
Because I guess I've never been in management, so I wouldn't know this, but it seems like it must look good on a resume to say, I brought this initiative into my workplace.
If you think about it, the KPI for a new, let's say, CEO in a company is to create change.
Which is stupid.
It is. It is.
It is dumb.
But the whole premise of them showing up and not doing anything means they haven't done what they were
Can I say
brought in to do.
The thing is, though, is if you are in any position of management, your first year should be doing nothing but observing.
Correct. I completely agree. And great managers and great CEOs do this.
Yeah.
They will come in and they won't just suddenly disrupt everything. They'll just watch.
Yeah.
Listen, observe.
Let's see if anything's actually broken.
Yeah.
And then let's fix that. Because, and you think about it, I would bring the analogy of studying a novel. Surprise, I'm an English teacher. I've just assigned To Kill a Mockingbird to my students. I told them, you have 2.5 weeks over the holidays to read this book one time. Because you can't analyze, you can't dissect something, and you can't fully understand it unless you are first familiar with it. So you need to sit down and observe a thing and how it works and how it plays out before you can then sit down and start to be critical about it. You can't be critical about a book on a first read in a literary sense because you need to be focused on absorbing the story and absorbing the mechanics of the plot and the characters. And then once you're familiar with them, you've gotten to know them, then read it and start spotting the flaws or the plot holes or the literary devices or the waves and peaks and troughs of the plot. And I feel like it must be the same for management, is how can you possibly step into somewhere and bring in a new initiative and more expectations on your staff when you don't even know what initiatives are already in play, what expectations are already on them. And you can't know that in year one. You have to actually watch the school year play out once. And yeah, man, in department schools, especially, there seems to be a whole bunch of changeover happening because you've got principals whose just jobs, it seems to be, is to move up to bigger schools. And so they come in, they introduce a new thing, and then they cheese off. And then the next guy comes in and introduces a completely new thing.
So it never really gets implemented.
And then on top of that, I've actually read a bunch of literature on, like when we were first starting at my teacher, I'd read a bunch of literature on teacher efficacy and employment churn and retention. And there's actually quite a bit of literature around leadership. And it's all consistent from teachers to leadership, is that in a changeover moment, everybody's efficacy goes straight down. For a teacher, your first year on the job is your worst year and your students' worst year. So your students, if it's your first year out of school, your students are going to perform worse than the next year's students,
That's amazing.
So, and if you're a leader, everything's going to drop in performance. And I think it's because it's the change and the
disruption you bring with change.
So if you were to step into a role, hang back, observe things, focus on the obvious fires that are there, but then like figure out what actually needs to change before you start changing anything. I think that, would fix a lot.
But so thank you for putting that comment. Jacob as a teacher can really relate. Sorry, what?
Triggered.
That's all we got time for this episode. And it was probably a bit of a deep one. And
if it would be helpful to unpack other ways of dealing with AI ganking, let us know. We can dedicate an episode to exploring different types of assessments and different positions. There's so much literature coming out that I am keen to explore. That would be very fun.
And if you can, in the comments, drop in your AI gank moments.
Yes.
That'll be a cool segment.
When have you found your assessments being AI ganked?
And what did you do?
Yeah, what did you do about it?
What was your approach? Keen to know.
What was the most obvious lie that you've caught a student out in shooting with AI?
And how much did they gaslight you into thinking that?
And how many M dashes? What is the most amount of M dashes you've seen in an assessment? Let us know in the comments.
Alrighty, we're gonna wrap this up and gonna eat some wraps. Peace, fam.